Hey guys, this is Laura, Craigie Garden Girl at twopeasindabucket.com. Today I am bringing you the first episode in the brand new series called Scrap Your Stash. Now, I won't be a regular contributor. I'm actually filling in for Amy Heller this week, but I'm happy to do so. And today's video, we're going to concentrate on making a dent in your stash of brads. And I've picked out a couple sets that I have. All of these are available in the two-piece store right now. I've got some from Echo Park, My Mind's Eye. These are from October Afternoon, and then even this one with the label plates and brad package from We Are Memory Keepers. So I'm definitely going to be using a lot of brads today, and hopefully we can try using them in some fun new ways that perhaps you haven't done before, and hopefully I can make a big dent in my stash. So the papers that I'm going to be using today, I've pre-picked them, and these are all from the Pebbles line family ties. So I've got 3 different sheets here, and I thought I'd use these sides of them, although they are double-sided, and I might use a stripe of something else here, but that's what I'm starting with, as well as I've pulled out some grid papers here from the Simple Stories Snap Life pad. These are just really basic grid paper and really versatile, and because these patterns are quite bold, I wanted to go with something that was not as bold, and that's probably where I'll place my title, would be covering these papers. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I have my photos printed here. And I have a black and white one and a little color one. This is about, I didn't measure it, I just set it up on my printer and I made it at about 50% of a regular 4x6. So that's the size for that one, and I just left a little bit of a white border. And I've decided with this, the one thing I do know I want to do is I want to have the photo at the bottom corner here. And the only thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to measure how much I'm trimming off, but you can see there's this white leaf here and it's a bit distracting. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to my photo here. And I'm just going to lay it down on the page so that that white leaf is going to be hanging off and I can trim it away. I just found it was a little bit distracting. Okay, if you guys have watched any of my Finally Friday videos in the past, you'll know that I don't do a lot of pre-planning when it comes to my layouts. I like to just go with the flow and create as I go. I just find that works best for me. So I've kind of cut this pattern paper. I knew I wanted to make it have a little bit of space there, a little bit of space there. I think it ended up being 6 inches by a little under 5 inches. And the 6 inches works well because that's the same size as this piece of paper from the 6x6 pad. And I'm going to add this one up here. So next I'm going to work on, because I haven't quite decided what's going to go on the rest of the page, I'm going to work on the big embellishment here. And basically I'm making a big cluster. So I've got a piece of cardstock, just plain white cardstock, same as the background, sorry. And I've cut that into a circle. It's a little less than, I think, 3.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my sewing machine and add a bunch of stitching around the perimeter. And then we're going to embellish the inside of it. Alright, so I finished sewing the lines around this. I did 3 of them and they're just a bit haphazard, and I'm okay with that. And then I went and pulled this from my stash. It's just a die cut from My Mind's Eye from the Nostalgia line, and I thought it would make a really good contrasting color for this corner over here that I didn't quite know what I was going to do with. And I'm not 100% sure that it's staying there, so I'm going to use my American Crafts adhesives because I can easily rub it off and remove it. When I know where things go for sure, I use my ATG or I just sew it down. So for now, I'm not entirely 100% sure that's going to stay on the page, so I'm just going to lay it down lightly. And with this embellishment circle, I was envisioning something along those lines. It ties in the 4 quadrants that I have going here, and it is going to be very heavily embellished. So that's what we're going to move on to now. I'm just going to put the layout to the side. And basically, what I'm going to do to make a dent in my stash of brads, and just to make a really fun embellishment, is I'm going to fill it with all sorts of different brads. And the best way for me that I find is to use a what are these called though? A piercing tool, I think. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use to add my brads. And I'm going to go ahead and pull them back out. And I'm going to start with some of these bigger ones here that actually have an embellishment around it. And that'll take up a good chunk of the space in there. So I'm not too worried about where it's going to go. Somewhere around there. poke a hole and push it through. And my goal here is to have a lot of different size things in here. So I'm going to look for, and I also want to stick with the color palette of kind of the blues, yellows, greens. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep popping off different brads from these packages. And kind of, as I said, putting them down a little haphazardly. And just seeing what I end up with. And I'm going to start with some of these a little bit bigger size ones, and that'll allow me to fill in the gaps with the smaller size brads afterwards. So I suggest you start with the biggest ones and go from there. So another fun way when you're adding brads to your pages is to use them to adhere buttons. So I'm going to pull out a green, I think a green, or that kind of, it's not quite green. So anyhow, I'm going to use this button, and to adhere it, and just to add a little bit of interest, I'm going to take these really tiny brads. These I've had for ages and ages. And I'm going to grab one white and one blue. These are old American Craft ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke them through the little holes of my button here. So it's going to look kind of cute like that. And I'm actually not going to adhere it that way this time, just for, so I'm saving myself the poking of the holes. I'm just going to flatten these and I'm going to adhere it with a glue dot. And I think that's just another really fun way to use your brads. While I'm filling this up, I thought I'd take a moment to talk to you guys about brads and how you can just use up some that you know are just, you're never going to use otherwise. Like this one here, it's cute. The colors just aren't exactly my favorite. Pattern, again, is not my favorite. I don't see myself using this brad for a long time. As well as, here's another one, like with a little secretary on it, which is super cute, just not very applicable to my lifestyle. Sorry, not my lifestyle, anything in my life, that's what I'm meaning. So, I just wouldn't find myself using it. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to change it. So I have these enamel dots from My Mind's Eye, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. And I'm just going to take a big one here, put it in the center like that, and then just start covering up the rest of it with other colors here. And what I'm going to do is, you can see it's already starting to look really cute. Just completely changes it up, and it's going to turn it into something that I actually will use. Add a little pop of orange there. I don't think that's the end of the world on there. I'm going to keep going. And you don't have to use enamel dots. You could use jewels if you had them, or anything like that. Another thing, I've run out of the little ones, so I'm going to move on to another pack here. Another thing you could also do is you can heat emboss brads. So again, if it's one that you don't think you really like the colors of, probably don't see yourself using, go ahead and dab it into Versamark and then heat emboss it. And that's going to work really well to completely change it into something that you will use. I'll probably end up doing that with the little secretary brad. So there you have it. I'm going to try and zoom in for you. So there, that's a really cute option. I will definitely use this. I'm probably going to use this right now. And I'm starting to get to the completion here. I'm just going to add a couple more. There's this cute little one that has a 2 on it, and I thought that worked well with, because I have my 2 little guys in the photo. So I'm going to add that here. Alright, so I'm finally fully finished with my little embellishment here, and I thought it was time to add my second photo to the layout and really figure out how I'm going to bring the rest of this together. And I think one thing I've decided is, I don't know whether I'm loving this. And I was flipping through this book I have. This is again by Pebbles. It's the phrase cards from the same line as the Pattern Papers Family Ties. And I pulled out one that I thought was really applicable here. It says, sometimes being a brother is even better than being a superhero. And my big and my little are just like the best of buddies. And I thought, you know what, that's kind of great. And the colors obviously are a perfect match because it's from the same line. And I think I'm going to put that here and have it go a little like that. I think I just like it better color-wise that way. So I'm glad I didn't really adhere this too hard. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. So probably a little like that. And that allows me to have that there. And it almost feels like the way that kind of curves around the circle is just meant to be. So I thought, you know what, that really is going to work there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the extra here. I think I like it there. And that trims off a bit, but nothing too important in the photo. So I'm going to add that there. And I'm not going to trim it off 100% yet because I'm just still figuring this all out. And I think this is going to be a subtitle, so I'm going to go ahead and work on my main title. And I have some corrugated thickers, and I wanted to go with a color that was neutral to add, because everything else is so bold and vibrant, especially with our big embellishments. I thought I'd pick out a neutral colored alphabet here. And I wanted to do, again, a really simple title. And I actually wanted to incorporate a title that had an O in it because I thought I would use, again, another great way to use a brad is in place of an O when you're typing a word. Like book would be great to have two brads like that instead of the O. So I'm going to try and replace the O in the title here, and I thought I'm just going to pull the word brother from here and maybe put that along the top. So I'm going to carefully pick these off and see how that looks if I place them. And I'm going to start the title along the edge of this pattern paper here, because again I just want to leave this white strip here, just kind of, it doesn't necessarily balance all the color, but it helps to not feel so immense. At least it does in my mind. So I'm just going to start spelling out the word here. And I might actually put the O down and then just put the brad in the middle of it. Just because you might see a little bit of it peeking through, and for this time it might look nice. But as I said, it's a great replacement for the letters, especially because I know sometimes we can run short on vowels with things like these thickers. So I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole with my paper piercer, again right in the middle of the O there. And I picked out a neutral brad. This one's got little kind of like a vintagey note paper on it, or graph paper. Ledger, that's what I'm looking for. Ledger paper. So I'm going to center that in there and separate the prongs. And I like that there. So that's kind of a cute little addition. And I'm going to go ahead and probably adhere this with a bunch of glue dots. And that is my page so far. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and maybe add a bit of machine stitching and then reevaluate whether I'm done or not after I've added those details. So my layout's almost done, and I was trying to think of just another way to incorporate brads. We've done it a number of ways, but I thought, you know what, this is supposed to be all about brads, so why not add some more? Originally I was thinking I've got a bunch of different kind of colors here that coordinate with the layout, and I was thinking about just using my paper piercer and adding them to the pattern paper here. It's another great way to use brads is to jazz up the pattern paper, especially when you have little flowers. They make great accents. Or even if you have like chipboard flowers, like I thought maybe originally I thought I was going to use some of these chipboard flowers from the set and add it as well, but I just feel like that's not going to work, and then I'm worried that that's going to make this area just too busy. So then I thought about adding a border sticker with accenting it with brads, or again that original pattern paper, and I thought maybe adding that there, it kind of closes in that section. But I'm not so sure about that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use it, and I'm going to add my brads to it, and then I'm going to reevaluate it based on how I think it looks with the addition of the brads. So again, another great way to use your brad stash is to dress up your pattern paper right like that. I kind of like that it actually closes in the blue down here. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and try adding that to my page here. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching today's video of Scrap Your Stash. I hope you feel inspired to dig into your brads. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching me put together this layout today. I had a lot of fun. And just because I know I'll probably get questions on it, people or might be wondering where my journaling is. Sometimes when I do a page that's a little on the busy side like this, I like to take a secondary page and it'll just be a plain sheet of white cardstock, and then I'll take some scraps of pattern paper or some brads and I'll really write out a lot of journaling, because there's a bunch I can say about these pictures. So it'll be a lot of journaling right here and then a little bit of embellishments to tie it in, and I'll put it that way in my album. So, because sometimes I feel like journaling, if I concentrate on this, it becomes an afterthought, and I don't want it to be an afterthought, because really that, for me, is the most important part. But really, I love doing the designing of the page. So this way I get the best of both worlds. I've designed a page I love, and then I can just simply do the matching journaling page, which again has very little embellishments, and that's just what I do. So there you guys have it, and again, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.